up guys? So I'm finally back in the UK, in front of the wall. Yeah, I've been away on holiday for like a month. I've been in Australia and Fiji. It's been lovely, but yes, it's nice to be back in the UK. I'm gonna be making lots of content for you this year. I asked you guys on Twitter what video you wanted me to do first when I got back. You guys wanted the top 10 best movies of 2019, so yeah, this is that video. If you guys do want to follow us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, what have you, all those links are down in the video description below, and if you like the content, you might want to hit that subscribe button, yeah. If you guys are fans of these old top 10 lists of movies, you guys might be interested in my top 100 countdown series of the films of the past decade. It's where I'm going through the last 10 years of cinema, counting down my 100 favourite films of the decade, and yeah, I'll put a link up there below if you guys want to check that out. I actually do really love making a top 10 of the year as well, because it's always nice to look back and reflect and see what the world of cinema has brought us, and 2019 has been a tremendous year for cinema. I just have a few rules that I go through before I start the list. First rule is I have to have seen the film in order for it to make the list. So if I haven't seen it, it's not going to make an appearance in here. Sorry, I haven't seen every film that was released in 2019. I tried, but I'm only one man. My second rule is one that I've needed to change slightly from here on out, because my second rule always used to be a film needed to be released in my home country of the UK between January and December of that given year. But I'm changing this slightly because the UK does often get films quite late. And my new second rule, is that a film just needs to be been released somewhere in the world, it doesn't matter where, between January and December. It doesn't have to be the UK, it can be anywhere. It just makes it so much easier for me to organize these lists when I just sort of include the whole world instead of like just narrowing it down to the UK. And also this selection of top 10 films of 2019 reflects how I feel right now, right here in this point in time. Like, in a week's time, in a month's time, even a year's time, this top 10 might be different. Movies shift up and down. Let's get to the honorable mentions. The films that didn't make it into the top 10 list this year, but definitely deserve an honorable mention, include 1917, Ford v Ferrari, Us, Beautiful Boy, Sorry We Missed You, Jojo Rabbit, The Irishman, Avengers Endgame, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Knives Out, and Portrait of a Lady on Fire. I know, some of you are probably thinking, how are some of these movies not in my top 10? There were too many films to pick from, and this is just a top 10. It was hard, alright? I had to make the cut somewhere. This just illustrates my point as to how amazing the films were in 2019. And the last point, and arguably the most important point, is that this is just one bloke's opinion, alright? I say at the end of every one of my film reviews, okay, this list is subjective to me as to how I feel about the films that were released in 2019. It's not going to be identical to your top 10 list. We're all different. But yeah, this is just my top 10. Obviously, I hope you guys do agree with me on some of my selections here, but of course I want to hear from you guys. What were your top 10 favourite films? What do you think? Sure, let your voice be heard in that comment section down below. Shall we get started? What came in at number 10? The 10th spot is always the hardest spot to fill, I find, because there's about 8 films in the honourable mentions that I just listed that could have taken the 10th spot on this list. In the end, I just sort of went with my gut, and I ended up picking Greta Gerwig's Little Women for number 10. I absolutely adore this film. Like, I went into Little Women thinking, oh, I'm probably gonna love it because it's got a fantastic cast, it's directed by Greta Gerwig. I adored Lady Bird, but I wasn't anticipating just how much I would love this film. I was just so smitten watching it. Greta Gerwig has managed to inject the same zest and complicated female friction that we saw in Lady Bird into her adaptation of Little Women, and it's something that feels very period, but at the same time very modern. It's remarkable how she's managed to make Louisa May Alcott's book feel so fresh and relevant to today's modern audience. I've seen the previous film interpretations of Little Women, and they've never really done it for me, but Greta Gerwig's interpretation hit all the right notes to me. She has an amazing, star-studded cast of terrific actors: Saoirse Ronan, Timothée Chalamet, Eliza Scanlon, Emma Watson, Florence Pugh, Meryl Streep, Laura Dern, Chris Cooper, and everybody fits their role like a glove. It's faithful to the source material, but Gerwig manages to find a way to make it fresh in the way that she structures the film. It's not told in a chronological order. There are flashbacks that are peppered throughout the narrative, and it punctuates certain themes of the film, which it's done so well. And like the content of Louisa May Alcott's story, it manages to find a way to make very mundane things feel like the really special moments of life. I laughed a lot, I wept multiple times, and by the time the credits rolled around, I was just a big pile of mush. I love this movie. Yeah, just got this big dorky smile on my face just thinking about it. I want to go watch it again. Right, so coming in at number 9, we have the directorial follow-up from Robert Eggers, who gave us The Witch. It is his masterful psychological maritime horror, The Lighthouse. The reason this film makes it into my top 10 is because even 5 months after I saw it at the London Film Festival, I can't stop thinking about it. This film has tattooed itself on my brain and is not going anywhere anytime soon. The Lighthouse is this wonderfully weird, experimental, and balmy horror, but I just remember watching it and I was so engrossed by it, and it just required every ounce of me whilst I was watching it. But by the time I came out of the cinema, I actually needed to go lie down. It was like I had an out-of-body experience watching it. I couldn't believe some of the madness of what was on the screen. What? 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 Yeah. What the fuck? This film I can actually see being quoted in pop culture.
You're fond of me lobster, ain't you?
They don't make films like this anymore, which is why it's such a treat to get something like this. It's a very rare, unique experience watching a film like this. Alright, so coming in at number 8, we have Yorgos Lanthimos' The Favourite. The reason it's in this list is because, well, firstly, it's amazing, but secondly, it was released in the UK on like the 1st of January 2019. Following my old rules, this is why it makes it into the list for top 10 films of 2019. The Favourite, it's a bawdy, raucous delight. Well, the word that always seems to come to mind when I think about this film is balance, and I think this mainly comes down to Yorgos Lanthimos because he's so good at balancing different elements. First of all, the tone of the film and the genre of the film, it perfectly straddles the line between comedy and drama. For every like hysterical moment where Joe Alwyn doing a ridiculous dance in the hallway, or Nicholas Hoult dropping the C-bomb, or the characters doing absurd things like racing lobsters, just having way too much time on their hands, it's priceless. But for every one of those scenes, there's something really heartbreaking about Queen Anne having like 17 miscarriages. The 3 leading characters played by Olivia Colman, Emma Stone, and Rachel Weisz are all so perfectly balanced and so finely tuned to the point where their performances almost harmonize together perfectly. The film is about the female power dynamics between Queen Anne and her subordinates. It's just so totally done. Every actor in this is the top of their game. And we should be thankful to The Favourite, because if The Favourite was ever made, then the world never would have been blessed with Olivia Colman's Oscar speech.
I used to work as a cleaner and I loved that job. I did spend quite a lot of my time imagining this. Oh, please wrap up. Right, okay. And
Yeah, she is a blessing. This movie is a blessing. I love The Favourite. Alright, so coming in at number 7, we have Bo Burnham's 8th Grade. Now, I'm sure a bunch of you are probably saying, why is this on your list of top movies of 2019, not 18? The simple answer is the UK didn't get it until March earlier this year, and yeah, I was one of the last people on the earth to see it, and obviously I hadn't seen it in 2018, so it wouldn't have made that list anyway, so yeah, it's on my list of 2019 regardless, because this is such a perfect coming-of-age film for the kids of 2010s, but it's kind of universal to everybody that's watching. It's about a young girl called Kayla, played by Elsie Fisher, just going through 8th grade. She's going through adolescence and just trying to find her place in the world and in her social circles, and she's awkward and anxious and times joyful, and the film just perfectly gets what it's like to be a teenager growing up in this modern world, and I just found myself so enveloped in it. I was so swept up in 8th grade. I loved the characters. I empathized with Kayla so much. There were scenes where I felt so nervous for her. The scene where she's at a pool party, the bit where she's in the back of a car playing truth or dare with a boy, and he's pressuring her to do stuff that she doesn't want to do, and she's just not ready for it. It's sweet, it's earnest, it's charming. It's just a very down-to-earth, realistic portrayal of what it's like for someone going through adolescence. I felt all the feels that I was meant to feel of 8th grade, okay? I loved it. It deserves more credit, it deserves more recognition, and yeah, that's why it makes my list at number 7. Right, so coming in at number 6, we have Marriage Story from writer-director Noah Baumbach. This is probably his most personal work to date. It looks at the topic of divorce. It sees how 2 people who madly loved each other drifted apart, there's a child involved, and now they're having this East Coast, West Coast custody battle over their son. Adam Driver, Scarlett Johansson, phenomenal tour de force performances in this film. They are absolutely incredible. Two actors giving such raw, passionate, and human performances. Laura Dern as well, with the speech about women being held up to a higher parental standard than men. I just loved it. She's gonna win the Oscar for that. I love drama, and this film, the drama feels so real, and it also finds humor in the little moments of life. There's so many great little moments in this film, like the scene with the envelope in the kitchen is priceless, and the whole pie thing, oh, it's just so brilliant, and just the little moments in the movie which are just totally gonna be like memes and gifs. I just adored this film. I felt so invested in it. I felt the truth in the story as well, and that's the thing, when a director's vision comes to the screen so beautifully and succinctly, and you can tell it's from their own personal experiences, it connects to you on a deeper level, and that's why I adored Marriage Story, guys. So good. All right, so we're halfway there. At number 5, we have a film which proved me wrong. It's always nice when a film proves you wrong, because I was absolutely adamant that there was no need for another Toy Story film. And when I heard they were doing a Toy Story 4, I sulked. I was like, nope! Why are you ruining what is the perfect trilogy in cinematic history? Like, we do not need a 4th Toy Story film. I was just like, I was almost not gonna go watch it out of protest, because I just knew it wasn't gonna live up to how perfect the ending of Toy Story 3 was. In my mind, it was just, no, how dare you sully the name of the Toy Story franchise with a less superior film. But oh my god, this film completely made me change my mind. It makes you realize that a film series doesn't need to be a trilogy to be perfect. They say the rule of 3 is what should apply, but no, sometimes stories can have more than, a beginning, a middle, and an end. There can be an epilogue, and that's what we got with Toy Story 4. It was the epilogue, the sort of closing notes of this amazing saga. It's such a beautifully made film. The animation, what they do with light and textures and rain and cobwebs and stuff. It's a phenomenal level of detail that they got in Toy Story 4. The story is rich, it feels real. All the new characters are so well explored. You've got Forky, oh my god, who could have been a big, risk, could have been a very annoying character, but oh my god, Forky, I freaking love Forky. I'm trash. And then you've also got a villain who you empathize with so much with Gabby Gabby. I just love that she's just as interesting as Lotso Hugging Bear was in the 3rd Toy Story film. The film has so much heart, it's emotional, it's sweet, it wrapped things up very well. This really feels like the conclusion of the story, hopefully. Please, God, Pixar, don't make any more Toy Story films, okay? You had me at Toy Story 4, but yeah. I don't know if you can replicate the same result again with Toy Story 5, because yeah, it was a risky gamble when you made it in the first place. But still, Toy Story 4, wonderful film, so well done, yeah, it's awesome. Okay, so coming in at number 4, we have Lulu Wang's The Farewell. The beautiful thing about storytelling is that when you have a story that's so personal and intimate, that regardless of language barriers, it can transcend to all audiences, because it's based on Lulu Wang's own sort of experiences about how her grandma was sick and dying and she couldn't tell her, and these were Chinese customs that she had to uphold, but she was grieving inside because she knew she was going to lose her grandmother. It's reflected in the end product of The Farewell, and it's so personal to her. You feel Lulu Wang's spirit in the film. Oh my god. This film, oh, it's so beautiful. This film solidified Awkwafina as a real star of the future. She can do comedy, but she can really do drama as well, and she was so wonderful here as Billy. At the end of the day, the film is about family, okay? It's very universal, and when we lose family members, we go for grief, and we cope with the loss, and like we rely on each other to get through the pain, but it's so beautifully explored. We get this lovely contrast of cultures and also ideologies, the whole East and West, and how Eastern ideology is more of a community, whereas Western we're more individualists, looking out for ourselves. And I love that this movie just sort of opened my eyes to a different cultural vantage point. Sometimes I'm so set in my own ways that I don't often put myself in other people's shoes, and this film really did a great job of putting me in the position of so many of the characters and seeing their points of view and getting me to agree with them to a certain point. And I love when a film actually makes me change my mind about certain things like that. I love when I internally debate with myself what I think's right and wrong. It's just wonderful. Oh, I love it. That's why it's in my top 10, my top 4 even. All right, so coming in at number 3 of my top 10 favorite movies of 2019 is a comedy. It's Olivia Wilde's Booksmart. What's baffling is that this is Olivia Wilde's first film as well. Like, she is a first-time feature film director, and she manages to knock it out of the park on her first go with a film which I think has the potential to be like the next Mean Girls in terms of quotability and how beloved it is. Malala! Booksmart is... It just gives me life, this film. I freaking adore it. Such a simple film about 2 straight-A students who have this one epic, blowout night out before the graduation. And it's just so much fun watching them go from one scenario to the next, getting into all sorts of mischief and these mishaps and learning stuff about each other. The relationship between Beanie Feldstein and Caitlin Dever, it feels so real, so lived in. The connection feels so palpable. They are so good together. It's just a joy to watch. A lot of people say it's the female Superbad, but personally I think it's the younger teenage version of Bridesmaids, because for one, it's that funny. Like, I honestly think it's just as funny as Bridesmaids. But also, it's about female friendships evolving and changing because of life. Like, Bridesmaids, they were getting married and settling down, but in Booksmart, they're going to different colleges, their relationships changing, it's altering because they're growing up. And there's some similar parallels to Bridesmaids, but everyone in this film, all the supporting players have substance. The film itself is a triumph for women because it's female directed, female written, female led in terms of acting. It's also a film which is tremendously progressive but doesn't feel the need to call attention to the fact that it's progressive, because there's a rich array of diverse characters, from different ethnicities, different sexualities. But it doesn't feel the need to say, oh look at all these boxes that we're ticking. It is just what it is. It just presents it as normal, and I love that. It gets so many things right, Booksmart. And I watched it on the plane back from Fiji, and it was late at night while everyone was sleeping, and there were just a couple moments where I just I audibly laughed, and I think I might have woken somebody up. That bit, where they hallucinate that they're turning into dolls, and just this is an unrealistic standard of beauty, but smooth. But yeah, this film, we are so lucky to have it. It is such a marvelous film. So funny, so heartfelt, and I think it is a film that will age well with time. Such a film. I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it. Alright, so number 2, we have a film that I honestly didn't think was going to live up to the hype, because there was a lot of pre-hype for this film before it even came out. There was a lot of pressure on it, and yeah, I just didn't think it was going to live up to the hype, but my god, did it deliver the hype. It is a divisive film, and I know not everybody likes it, but yeah, second favourite film of the year for me. It was Todd Phillips's Joker. Wow, I was so captivated by this film. What it really is, and yes, it's a comic book film, but it's not. It's like The Dark Knight in the sense that, yes, it's a superhero film, but it's grounded in reality, okay? It's set in a world which feels believable, it feels real, it feels like this could happen in real life. It's not about special effects and action chase scenes or fight scenes. In fact, there's very few action scenes in this film. Yeah, there's so few bits which are for spectacle, okay? What Joker is a rich, magnetic 2-hour character study of a man with mental health issues, and he's isolated, stuck in a society that doesn't want him, doesn't appreciate him, doesn't look after him, and becomes a symbol for everything that's wrong in society as well. Joaquin Phoenix, give him the bloody Oscar already, okay? He deserves it, alright? And what's great about this film is that there are so many different ways to read it. There are so many different elements in this film, like mental health, the corruption of politics, the 99%, the divide between the rich and the poor. Some people actually think it's a commentary on superhero culture itself, and others see it as an allegory for inequality, masculinity in crisis, gun control, the abandonment of the disadvantaged, what with the collapse of social care, healthcare, benefits, support, and what have you. Just about everybody has a different take on what Joker actually means, and that's what distinguishes it as a great film, because good films are entertaining, but great ones get you talking, get you debating, get you arguing. They have different ways to be interpreted, and that's what Joker does. It started a conversation, didn't it? I mean, people were saying that this film was going to inspire people to be more like the Joker and start inciting acts of violence, but did it happen? No. But it didn't stop us from having the conversations, did it? But I love the Joker. It was the film I saw 3 times in the cinema last year. That's the film I saw the most, and every time I watched it, I peeled back a new layer, I found a new way to look at it, I found something I hadn't spotted before, and it got me thinking about something else entirely different to the last time I watched it. Yeah, that's why it's such a phenomenal film. Alright, so we're finally here at number 1, my favourite film of 2019. Honestly, it could have been any one of the top 4 that in this list, but I ended up settling on Bong Joon-ho's Parasite. This film really is something special. When 2019 started, I had no idea that this small Korean film would impact the world in the way that it has done. And I'm so glad it caught fire the way it did and just became this massive international success. It is such a wonderful, genre-blending, sharp satire about the haves and have-nots, the rich and the poor, the class divide between, these 2 Korean families. It's one of those films where the story is actually very simple, really, but it just transcends, the bounds of what the story is, because it's so metaphorical, as one of the characters constantly repeats throughout the movie. It's so much metaphor. It has so much to say, and it just beautifully conveys what it wants to say. Literally everyone loves this film. I don't think I've met a single person that doesn't like this film yet, because, yeah, cinephiles love it. Like, the casual moviegoer loves it, okay? It's kind of like this decade's Pan's Labyrinth, the one international film that every English-speaking person in the world collectively agrees is amazing. Bong Joon-ho is just an amazing film maker, because it's not easy to change the movie's tone so sharply and so drastically, but with such finesse, and he does it like a pro. It's so beautifully put together, it's very well paced, it's so funny, it never gets boring. Like, you're so engrossed all the way through. I'm pushing it on my friends, I'm pushing it on you guys, I'm pushing it to win Best Picture at the Oscars. The Academy needs Parasite more than Parasite needs the Academy. I'm just gonna say that, alright? But this is a film where every single department saw Bong Joon-ho's vision, and they all did their absolute best to bring that vision to the screen, and it is really a masterpiece, and that is why it is my number 1 film of 2019. But yeah, guys, that was my list of top 10 films of 2019. But as always, this is just one bloke's opinion. I do want to hear from you guys. What did you think of my list? Do you agree? Do you disagree? What films would have made it into your top 10 list of 2019? I do want to hear from you. Whatever your opinion is, be sure to let your voice be heard in that comment section down below, okay? If you want to follow me on any social medias, you can find that information in the video description, also down below. And if you're enjoying the content, as always, there's going to be plenty more coming to you over the year. If you want to stay up to date with all my future content, don't forget to click that subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for watching my channel, watching my content, supporting me. It means the world to me that a handful of people support my nerdy passions and my love for cinema, so thank you guys so much. For more things related to movies, TV, and popcorn culture, I'm Luke Carefield, and I'll see you next time.